Hello there, my people. This is Nancy at Pezu, the lead consultant at Pezu Smith Consulting. Right away, I'm taking the topic strategies for staff supervision for school administrators. And I'm going to start sharing my slide without much further ado. So let's get going. Let's get going. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So, yes, this is the topic, effective staff supervision for school administrators. Now, let me just make it really larger and bolder than this. All right, I think we're fine here. Okay, so the topic is effective staff supervision for school administrators. I must apologize that it's been a while I did a video. I've been busy working behind the scenes with the organizations I consult for in-house, and I've barely had the time to record a video and post here. My apologies sincerely. So if you're meeting me for the first time, I'm Nancy Ekwezu, and this is a bit about me. You might want to pause here and read my profile. This is just a bit about me, but you can find more about me on my website, www.nancyekwezu.com. But just know that I'm a certified life coach. I'm an education and management consultant, and I'm the founder of the Facebook group Educational Administration Network. The reason I coach and mentor school administrators is that I've been a school administrator in 4 schools, apart from teaching for about 12 years before then. And on my last job, I led a team of over 150 employees in a group of schools managed by multinational until October 1st, when I actually left formally to go into self-employment. And that's where my company, Peso Smith Consulting, came to be. I'm the author of several books. I think I have a few of them here. I'm the author of 7 books, actually, and these are 2 of them. The Educator, Effective Boarding House Administration, The School Administrator's Companion, which I highly recommend for you if you're a school administrator. I'm also a TEDx speaker. I'm a mentor and coach. I'm gradually gaining international recognition. And you can read all of the rest about me. So to the topic, I'm excited already, okay? And one of the most critical aspects of your role as a school administrator is supervising your staff effectively. Forget about these smiles. That's not how it always is in the life of a school administrator. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. There's some days where you're like, oh, how did I get myself into this? But I'm always here to help you and to be your coach and to guide you along, your journey and to share tips that will help you. So you definitely want to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you're a manager or a school administrator, a school owner, or intending to be any of these things that I have just mentioned. Okay, so you must know that supervising or is one of your key aspects of your role. You must supervise people. You don't work in a vacuum. You supervise people. You have admin team members working under you. You have teachers working under your supervision, even if they are not their direct boss or supervisor, but you really get to work with them. So one of the things you need to do first is to understand the importance of effective supervision. Okay? Why must you learn how to supervise the staff as well, very well, okay, as an administrator? First, it ensures that the school's educational standards are met. Because if you do not supervise, how will the staff even know what is expected of them? How will they know when they are doing right or when they are doing wrong? It promotes professional growth among staff. It also creates a positive work culture if you're doing it the right way. I'm not talking about witch hunting and trying to pick on your staff and make them uncomfortable. That's not what it is. Far from it. So good supervision also helps to identify and solve problems early. When you supervise people, that's when you get to see where they are getting things wrong. And before it gets to a really big thing that can get your school in a mess, you're able to spot them out and work with them behind the scenes to correct them before parents get to know, before the community gets to know, before it gets to social media, which is the in thing these days. So you're able to curb things and walk behind and tell them that's not how to do it. This is how to do it. You model it to them. You show them how to do it. You guide them how to do it. You train them on how to do it. You watch to see that they get it right after you've modeled it. And so that is the importance of effective supervision in a school. It also encourages continuous improvement, and not only for the staff, even for you as a boss, because you get feedback about how you supervise them. Perhaps you start by being the boss, and which some people do, but after a while, you know how to manage these things and manage their feelings and work in a non-threatening manner that gets people to perform to the best of their abilities. Okay, another is that it provides ongoing support for the staff, which of course helps them to achieve better than when you just leave them on their own. And I'm not talking about micromanaging everything they do. That's not what I mean. There's a balance to it. Okay, so how do you go about this? You need to set clear expectations. You need to set clear expectations. You do not lead people and just vaguely, come in, you're the boss, you just take a paper and you're writing, no. You need to let them know what the expectations are. This is one of the things I preach really much. You must let the staff you lead know what the expectations are. What is performing well in this organization? What is below what is below for the performance standard? What would we say is an exceptional staff, okay, or exceptional performance in this particular organization? What would we say needs improvement? What would we say is average? You have to let them know what the expectations are. And the foundation of effective supervision is clear communication. Like I said, you do not work in a vacuum, and you must always, always make room for communication. You communicate to them what the goals are. You communicate to them if they are doing fine. You give feedback. All of this is communication. Of course, that brings me to your communication skills as a school administrator, because you cannot do all of these things if you're not constantly communicating properly. That means you need to learn a written communication, verbal communication, non-verbal. What's your body language saying? Is it saying all of you are wrong and I'm the only right one here? Or is it saying I'm here to support you? Don't worry, I'll have your back as your boss. Whatever it is, you need to know that communication is a foundation of effective communication in a school. Having said that, you now get on. So let's set clear expectations for the staff. How do we do this? You define their roles and their responsibilities. Who is the admin officer? What does he do? Who is the PhD teacher? What's his role? Everybody must understand their role so that they stick to their role while also supporting others to achieve theirs. And I'm not talking about understanding your role and saying everything else that happens in the school is not my business. No, that's another extreme altogether. We're not talking about that. We're talking about where everybody understands their roles and their responsibilities towards the organization and what is expected of them on those roles. And then you have to establish performance standards. I recall in the last school where I worked, there were no performance standards when I started with them. And I had to work to create evaluation templates and then communicate this to the staff. So everybody on their positions knew what the performance standards were, and they all had to rise up to it, okay? So establish performance standards, and that is where key performance indicators come in. I'm currently working with 3 schools, where we had to set performance indicators for every member of staff. Because like I tell people, it's all well and good that people come to work. What are they achieving? Can you hold them accountable? Can you say, yes, my staff do very well in so and so? Can you pick on the milestones that they have achieved? Because if someone comes every day to work and they just sit behind their laptops every day, and you're like, oh, amazing, they're here from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, and we're just happy. Well, how are you measuring their performance? And there's a course I do on, I teach it in-house, and I also have done several webinars on performance management for employees, and that is so key. You have to establish key performance indicators, and I can teach you how to do this. You also must have regular meetings with your staff to get feedback from them as well, while you also give your feedback. So that is very important. And you communicate these expectations over and over until they get it. In leadership, don't be afraid to repeat things, repeat the same things. Sometimes it becomes monotonous, but until they get it, it just gets into their system that this is the standard for this organization, and you have to rise up to it. So it's not something you say once in a meeting and go home, I remember a school owner telling me that the staff didn't understand that he or she was surprised that they didn't get the school's mission and vision because she had been saying it over and over. And I said, wow, she had said it to them once at a meeting. And I said, that's not something you say once, you have to do it over and over. In fact, call a vision party. And at the beginning of every school year, at the beginning of every term, at meetings, several regular meetings, you keep reminding them. They need to be reminded until it is ingrained in them, okay? Okay, so you also need to provide constructive feedback. You cannot supervise people without giving them feedback. So, like I said, it's not about witch hunting people to see when they get it wrong. Even when you catch your staff doing things wrong, don't yell, just nicely give them feedback. People do not like to get feedback that they're not doing well. So you must have a way to sandwich the positive of what they're doing and then bring in, just sandwich the negative report in between and then conclude with something positive as well, what they can do to get better. So remember how to do it. Start with the positive, sandwich the negative comment or report or feedback in between, and then finish up with what they can do to get better. So you need to give feedback constructively so that you do not break the staff. Don't tell them you're always doing this, you're always, 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 always. No, that's not what we mean here. We mean that you can give them feedback in a way not to break them, but to encourage them to do better. And if you do that consistently, they will look back to your feedback because they will also see that they're getting better as professionals. And all thanks to you as a boss that is not bossy and is not tearing them apart, but really guiding them on the right path. So feedback is crucial for professional growth, but it needs to be delivered thoughtfully to be effective. Remember what I said, start with the positive, bring in the negative, and positively as well. Okay, so learn to be specific. Don't just tell someone you're not doing well, I'm not impressed. That's not good feedback. You could say something like, I've read your emails in the past 1 week, and I've seen that you are so eager to report regularly, which is amazing. Keep that up, please. But however, okay, however, I think that you need to pay attention to your to editing emails before they go out, because some of these emails will also be going out to people outside our organization, and it doesn't quite represent us well if we do not edit, or if they find several grammatical errors in a letter of invitation, for example, or a report or whatever. Okay, so be very specific and remember to start with the positive. Okay, so you've heard how I said it. I'm really happy that you're eager to send regular reports, which is good, timely reports. However, you need to work on your grammar or your spellings or whatever, or your use of words. Be very specific. Timely feedback. If something happens and you notice that it's not nice or that it is very nice, it's always good to give the feedback right there, unless maybe it's a classroom observation and you do not want the children to hear how you're correcting their staff or their teacher. So you could wait and tell them, could you see me in my office when you're less busy or before you go today? They can just stop by and get that feedback. But if it's done that day or the next, it's still fresh and it's easier to deal with than waiting till the end of the term and just say, that's how I came to your class the other day and I saw that you were not even managing your class well. No, not at all. So make it timely, give the feedback timely. Remember, the aim is to make them improve and not to go back that mistake or error where they are getting it wrong. Have a balanced approach. Have a balanced approach to giving feedback. I've already talked about it. Positive, negative, positive. That's the balance, okay? Give actionable advice. Don't just tell them what they have done wrong or how they're not getting it right. How do they get it right? Okay. If you're just spilling out what they've done wrong, that's almost like tearing them apart. But if you say, this is what you can do. Remember, in the case of the letter, I mentioned that you can spend time to edit before you send. And you can even recommend an editing app that can help them. Or you could say, spend. I remember when I was struggling, or share your own experience. I remember when I was struggling in writing, maybe as a young teacher. These were the tips that helped me. Maybe you could share a book that will help them. You could help them, tell them how, what they can do that can help, or ask them to also research and get back to you, which advice would work for them, or which actionable steps will work for them to improve that habit. Let them take ownership of it, and then you're going to see improvement. But if you just tell people how they're doing things so wrong, and that's all that you say, it's not going to all go well for them. And after a while, they're going to cringe and maybe withdraw into their shells, and they will build defensive mechanisms against you. The moment they see you, they're like, the administrator is coming. She's coming to tell me all the things I'm doing wrong again. And you would not be able to penetrate and do the job that should be done, which is an internal work to make them reflect on their practice and get better. Okay. All right. So another thing you want to do is encourage professional development. When you give people feedback, I remember at the end of the school year when I gave my reports as a concurrent supervisor over the staff in the entire school, I would always recommend courses, or I can organize some if I notice that a lot of people were struggling in a particular area. Then I would now have to take ownership to develop a professional development plan for those areas. And part of them could be done in-house. Some could mean recommending other coaches or mentors who are specialists in those areas and asking them to follow them either on social media or read their books or attend their courses. Some will be sponsored by the organization, and some I encourage them to also self-sponsor because they have to take responsibility for their growth, okay? And some I will do the work to research and come and also train, okay? So do all you can to knock the staff out of their comfort zone. People should never remain the same when they encounter you. It doesn't matter that they do not like your face at the time that you're doing it. And I must say that they will not. I recall on my last job, everybody was like, oh, Miss Nancy, always talking about courses and develop how to attend courses and develop professional development trainings. Is that what is going to increase our salaries? Those were the things they kept saying, and all of that. But eventually they are the better for it because you can't remain at the same point if you work with me. You must leave your comfort zone, and you would not be comfortable at that point, but you just have to leave your comfort zone and do better. Any area that I notice you need to work on, I will normally stretch you if you work under my supervision. And trust me, you're going to celebrate me down the line, years later. I recall my executive assistant, the front desk officer where I worked, reached out to me recently, and she said, "Oh, my ever hardworking and diligent Miss Nancy, working with you was tough, but it's paying off for it, and I've come to appreciate you." And of course, that's the kind of feedback I get from almost everybody who has worked with me. I stretch them, and stretching is not a very nice and fanciful thing, but when you start getting the results, you will then appreciate me for the effort that I've made. So as a school administrator, do not be afraid to nudge your staff out of their comfort zone and stretch them. They need to stretch to grow. Stretching is part of growth. So supporting your staff's professional development is a win-win. It enhances their skills and knowledge, which in turn benefits the students and of course helps to grow the organization. So if people are fighting to remain in their comfort zone and resisting change, you have to find tactful ways of making them leave their comfort zone because growth happens outside of your comfort zone, and it's never going to be comfortable. Okay. All right. So here are things you can do. Offer training opportunities, offer mentorship programs. I recall one or two of them had to come to my office to be mentored one-on-one. And I also recall that I turned my Tuesday meetings with my heads of schools. I was supervising there. I had oversight, the entire school. And then I had the heads of schools, the principal, the head of early years, and the head of primary working directly under my supervision, and also those in the admin team, the admin accountant, the admin officer, the front desk officer, and a few others, right there. So I developed an informal mentorship program where I would share my experiences during our meetings and also give them assignments to do. They were stretched. I know that they were stretched because working with me, you just can't be idle. I'm open doing always, and people who work under me have to do that as well. Encourage self-directed learning. Don't spoon feed them, okay? While you offer training opportunities in-house and train them, while you mentor them, also encourage self-directed learning where they can develop their personal and professional development programs for themselves, and also do maybe self-analysis and find out there are lots of things, personality tests, career gap assessments, all kinds of things, skills gap assessments. They can do all of that and find out where the gaps are in their lives, apart from the ones that you tell them, so that they can develop in those areas. Also offer professional learning communities within the organization where people can have access to resources and where they can, pull from other people's experiences and knowledge and skills, which is very important. And of course, they can also join professional bodies. Maybe it's like the accountants, you can tell them to join the professional bodies for ICANN, for accountants such as ICANN and all of that. And if the administrators, they look for opportunities where this happens. If they are teachers, there are several groups online that they can join. Another thing I want to urge you to do when you supervise staff is to build a positive work environment, okay? Is your environment draining the staff or encouraging them to excel on their job? Sometimes in a bit to make people develop or stretch them, we can overdo it and break them. We can also maybe do things by our attitudes that put staff off. And some of these could include picking favorites and, forming cliques in the office or doing, those kind of toxic behaviors that come from managers and administrators. And so I want to urge you that a positive work environment is a must for staff satisfaction and retention. If people keep resigning during your regime, you might want to find out what is wrong, especially when the rate of resignation is becoming unusual for that organization. And so you need to review your style of management and leadership. Is it a positive work environment where people can thrive, or are they constantly under pressure in a way that they have to work on eggshells when they are around you? So to build a positive work environment, here are some suggestions that I would make. And I would say lead by example. Do not tell the staff to do what you would not do. If you're telling them to come to work early, for example, then you should get to work early as well. Do not pick favorites among the staff. Okay, one of the things people say about me in administration is that I do not pick favorites. Okay, I treat all the staff equally. It doesn't matter that you're from my village or attend my church or we have the same religion or whatever, or the same state, or from my village even. I do not pick favorites among the staff, and I try to treat everybody as equally as humanly possible. You also need to recognize achievements of staff. When they are achieved, do you recognize them? Do you find ways to award, even if it's just a certificate, even if it's just a letter of recommendation, even if it's even recognizing them in a meeting and having others clap for them, even just a little, maybe even buying lunch for them, those things help. And then you want to foster teamwork and not break the team. Don't form cliques. Don't have pick favorites, like I said earlier. Foster teamwork. let us all know that we're working for the common good of this organization, and that's where we are all heading. And everything we do, all of the little conflicts, all of the little misunderstandings are all in a bid to understand ourselves and one another so that we work towards a common goal and nothing personal. Promote work-life balance. Don't be the boss who makes everybody work from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. They don't have even time to rest. Let the work rest some days so that they can breathe, okay, and come back refreshed. Don't keep them overly long in the, in a bid to just use up their office hours and stretch and stretch. No, when they've achieved and they are meeting their targets, please let them close on time, unless there is absolutely a need to keep them. Okay? Do not let their family life suffer, because when they are emotionally drained at work, we take it home. And when where they should be getting support at home, if they now start having problems, it's going to negatively impact on their job. If you remember this, you will know that you need to create a safe space where they can talk to you if they are challenged, if they're having problems, so that you be that person they can talk to. So be that boss that people can walk up to and talk to, okay? Create a safe space for them. So it's getting long. This is that there are actually several more points for this, for the supervision strategies. I'm going to share a lot more in another video, so watch out for it. But before then, remember that I'm the author of 7 books, and this book, The School Administrator's Companion, is one of them. The Front Desk Officer's Companion is my latest book that was just published a few weeks ago. And I'll urge that you visit my seller shop, www.seller.co/m/Nancy Ekpaizu, and you'll see all of the amazing resources that are prepared for school administrators and managers. You have all kinds of resources for boarding house administration, school administration, whether it's a boarding or day, templates, checklists, handbooks that you can edit to suit your school's purpose. And of course, if you need a one-on-one session with me, I'll really be delighted to have that with you. Do not leave without connecting with me, please. I would really love to hear from you. Visit my website, www.nancyekwezu.com. Visit me on Facebook and click on the follow button. I've reached my limit for friendship on Facebook, so do not send me a friend request. Rather just follow me. Okay, you can also send a message on WhatsApp. Remember the country code. I am in Lagos, Nigeria, and our code in Nigeria is +234. So that 234 is my country code, at 803-588-0367. I respond to all messages on WhatsApp, no matter how long it takes, even if it's a day or two, I will always get back to you amidst my busy schedule. And on LinkedIn, you can connect with me. If you need a coaching session, maybe one-on-one, please get with me on Calendly. Oh, this is Calendly, not Calendly. Calendly, CALENDLY.com/Nancy Ekpezu. And I have an online shop, like I said earlier. Go to seller.co/m/Nancy Ekpezu. And my books are also available on the Amazon Kindle store. I'll be delighted to not only have you read my book, but also send in a review. And if you've read my books or bought my resources on Seller, please stop by to give a review. I really appreciate it. And very importantly, thank you for subscribing to this channel and for also following my work. I love you and I appreciate you. So I'm going to say bye now, and then we will see in the next video. Okay, we're going to see in the next video, and I cannot wait to just hear from you. Ciao, ciao.